If you're one of those people who's ever watched a sports hero, a strongman, or a larger-than-life personality and thought, how could someone so admired ever turn so monstrous? Then this story is for you. Because Idi Amin's rise didn't begin with fear. It began with applause, with cheers, with pride. Long before the world knew him as a dictator, Ugandans knew him as a champion. A man whose physical power, charm, and confidence made him feel almost unstoppable. And that, perhaps, is where the danger truly began. Idi Amin's life is one of the most extreme transformations in modern history. A journey from celebrated athlete to feared tyrant, from national hero to international pariah, and from a man loved by crowds to one blamed for the deaths of hundreds of thousands. Before we dive deeper, if stories that uncover the hidden rise and fall of powerful figures fascinate you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. It helps the channel grow and ensures you don't miss the next deep dive into history's most shocking characters. Idi Amin Dada was born around 1925 in northwestern Uganda to parents from the small Kakwa ethnic group. Even his early life is wrapped in uncertainty. Records are scarce, dates are disputed, and stories often contradict each other. What is clear, however, is that Amin grew up on the fringes of colonial Uganda, far from power, prestige, or formal education. He reportedly had little schooling and struggled with reading and writing throughout his life. But what he lacked in academics, he more than made up for physically. Standing over 6 feet 4 inches tall, broad-shouldered and imposing, Amin possessed a natural athleticism that set him apart. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, he became known across Uganda not as a politician or a soldier, but as a sportsman. He was a powerful swimmer, a fearsome rugby forward, and above all, a boxer. From 1951 to 1960, Idi Amin was Uganda's undisputed heavyweight boxing champion. For 9 straight years, no one could take the title from him. Inside the ring, he was ruthless, intimidating, and dominant. Crowds feared him, but they also admired him. In a society still under British colonial rule, Amin represented raw African strength and pride. His victories weren't just personal, they felt symbolic. Yet even this extraordinary sporting success was only a footnote in a much darker story. In 1946, while still a teenager, Amin joined the King's African Rifles, the British colonial army in East Africa. He started at the very bottom, as a cook, but his size, aggression, and willingness to use force quickly caught the attention of his superiors. The colonial military valued obedience and brutality over education, and Amin fit that mold perfectly. Over the years, he rose steadily through the ranks. By 1959, while stationed in Kenya, he had become a warrant officer, the highest rank a black soldier could attain in the colonial army at the time. In 1961, just before Uganda gained independence, Amin was promoted to lieutenant, making him one of the first Ugandans to be commissioned as an officer. When Uganda became independent in 1962, the young nation inherited not only political freedom, but also a fragile and deeply divided military. Amin thrived in this environment. By 1964, he had been appointed Deputy Army Commander. 2 years later, he became commander of the army itself. At the center of Uganda's new political landscape was Milton Obote, the country's prime minister and later president. Obote initially led a multi-party government, but power soon began to concentrate in his hands. And the man he relied on to enforce that power was Idi Amin. The partnership between Obote and Amin was built on mutual benefit. Obote needed muscle. Amin needed legitimacy. Amin was popular with ordinary Ugandans in a way few politicians were. He played basketball, swam competitively, raced cars, played the accordion and guitar, and danced in public. He mingled easily with soldiers and civilians alike. While he spoke broken English, he was fluent in at least 11 African languages, allowing him to connect with people across ethnic and regional lines. To many Ugandans, Amin felt relatable, approachable, one of them. But behind the scenes, darker dealings were already taking place. In 1965, both Obote and Amin were implicated in an illegal operation involving the smuggling of gold and ivory from the Congo. Rather than tearing them apart, the scandal temporarily brought them closer together. But trust between the two men was thin and rapidly eroding. Within days, Amin declared himself president and commander-in-chief. He suspended parts of the Constitution, placed military tribunals above civil courts, and filled government positions with soldiers. The promise of a temporary caretaker regime vanished almost overnight. Then the killings began. Supporters of Obote were targeted first. Soldiers were massacred in military barracks. Civilians began disappearing. By 1972, thousands had already been killed. To enforce his rule, Amin relied on terror, most notoriously through the State Research Bureau, his secret police. Officially, it was an intelligence agency. In reality, it was a slaughterhouse. People were arrested without warrants, tortured, executed. Some were burned alive. Some were shot. Others were reportedly fed to crocodiles. Bodies were dumped into the Nile. Judges, journalists, religious leaders, students, artists. No one was safe. Estimates of the death toll under Amin's rule range from 300,000 to over 500,000. As fear spread, Uganda's economy began to collapse. But Amin wasn't finished. In August 1972, he launched what he called an economic war. Uganda's Asian population, mostly of Indian origin, numbered around 80,000 and controlled much of the country's commerce. Amin accused them of exploiting Africans and ordered the expulsion of around 60,000 Asian foreign passport holders. Their businesses and properties were seized and handed to Amin's supporters, many of whom had no experience running them. Industries collapsed, black markets flourished, the economy spiraled downward. India severed diplomatic ties. Britain and Israel turned against Amin. Furious, Amin shifted alliances. He turned to Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, receiving millions in loans. He denounced Israel and Zionism. He courted the Soviet Union, which supplied tanks, jets, missiles, and millions of dollars in aid. By the mid-1970s, the USSR had become Uganda's largest arms supplier. With absolute power at home, Amin sought attention abroad. In 1975, he addressed the United Nations, introducing himself with an absurdly long title that included Lord of all the beasts of the earth and fishes of the seas, and Conqueror of the British Empire in Africa. He gave advice to US President Richard Nixon on Watergate, offered to marry Britain's Princess Anne, and claimed the throne of Scotland. The world laughed. Uganda suffered. In 1976, Amin's international reputation collapsed completely after the Entebbe hijacking. When an Air France plane was hijacked by Palestinian and German militants, Amin allowed it to land at Entebbe airport. He personally welcomed the terrorists. Over 100 Ugandan soldiers guarded them. Israel responded with a daring rescue mission, Operation Entebbe. In a single night, Israeli commandos freed the hostages, killed the hijackers, and humiliated Amin on the world stage. From that moment on, Amin's grip on power began to weaken. Coup attempts multiplied. Even within the army, cracks appeared. In 1977, Amin was injured during an internal uprising. His own generals turned against him. By 1978, the situation exploded into full-scale war. After mutinies and border clashes, Amin ordered an invasion of Tanzania. In a bizarre moment, he even challenged Tanzania's president to a boxing match to decide the conflict. Tanzania responded with tanks. Backed by Ugandan exiles, Tanzanian forces pushed steadily toward Kampala. Despite help from Libya and the PLO, Amin's army collapsed. Soldiers refused to fight. On April 11, 1979, Kampala fell. Amin fled. He escaped first to Libya, then to Saudi Arabia, where he lived in exile under strict conditions. No politics, no public power. In 2003, after years in obscurity, Idi Amin died in a hospital in Jeddah. His death was barely acknowledged in Uganda. He ruled for just over 8 years. Yet decades later, his shadow remains. Some remember him as a larger-than-life strongman. Others see him as the embodiment of unchecked cruelty. His story forces us to confront an uncomfortable question: how easily charisma can become tyranny, and how quickly applause can turn into silence. So here's the question I'll leave you with. How many other leaders, celebrated today for their strength and confidence, are only one step away from becoming history's next warning?